Nier, what do you have for us?
Um, what is this piece of shit called again?
It's let me see this. Yuusha-kei ni Choubatsu Yuusha 9004体 Keimu Kiroku. Also known as Sentenced to be a Hero. The prison records of Penal Hero Unit 9004. Um
What does the
or
9004
Q
stand for?
Some bullshit. I don't know, man.
I don't know. But yeah, this is also known as Yuusha-kei. But this is a light novel, web novel original. Yeah, I think it was a web novel original, and it became obviously floated up, went through the usual like light novel manga adaptation, and then became an anime adaptation by I believe Studio Kai. Studio Kai is
Papers.
the main studio leading the charge. But yeah, um,
Near,
do you want to talk to us a little bit about the description, the staff, stuff like that?
near.
Uh,
Have you been to a penal colony before?
no. Why would I?
What?
Bro thinks
So
it's
you've never,
holes.
near. You've never been
Yeah.
to Guantanamo Bay
No.
Never took a
or
visit.
Australia?
The alligator Guantanamo, Gitmo. But anyways, so do you want to talk to us a little bit of the series here?
Yeah, it's Sky Slop.
No.
Believe it or not. Yeah, so the basic, I guess, premise is our main character, what the fuck is this guy's name? Xylo Four Barts.
Okay.
That's his name. Um, he's a former like royal knight Templar dude. Um,
Same.
who got essentially framed for killing a goddess. And in this world, goddesses are like these kind of like man-made weapons that are capable of like doing crazy magic in order to fight back the
Perhaps
blight.
intelligence?
Yeah, yeah. They're
Okay.
basically
Near,
they're basically magical girls.
near.
Oh,
Have
okay,
you
okay.
heard of this anime called Candidate for Goddess?
No.
Never mind then,
Yeah. I don't
because it
watch the
sounds kind of like that.
I don't watch as much slop as you do. Sorry.
Near, this is a mecha anime that I know someone in that every week someone in Anime Club tried to peddle that towards us, and it was weird,
Uh, yeah.
and he never made it.
Um. Yeah, he gets set up and sort of framed for the murder of a goddess. Um,
Mhm.
and the sort of like I guess framing setup is he gets given this order to go, take out this group of blighted demons or whatever, and um, they essentially get like his squad gets like abandoned. And
Mhm.
through the course of that, the goddess that he is like pacted to overexerts herself, like she kind of drains her power,
Mhm.
and uh, a result of that is she gets infected with the blight. And the blight in this series is like this weird sort of organic um, parasite that kind of infects living things and turns them into like demons, basically.
Okay.
Um,
Like actual
and it
demons or like zombies or what's
they're
happening?
they're kind of like zombies. They're like they're kind of just like big monsters that have like fungus sticking out of them almost.
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
Yeah,
Ooh,
okay,
it's just
okay,
they're
like The
okay.
they're kind
Last
of
of
weird
Us.
design. Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
But if The Last of Us was magic. Um,
Yeah.
and so in order to prevent her from getting blighted, because I guess the consequence would be like this like literal living super weapon would be a demon and they'd be like unstoppable. Um, in order to prevent that, he kills her. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, and then when he gets back to like the capital, whatever, they sentence him for killing the goddess. Like they're like,
Right, right, right.
you were never given those orders and yada yada yada, and you killed your goddess, and they don't believe, um, like they don't believe in like the idea that a goddess could be infected with the blight. Like that's heresy or whatever.
Right.
And so they sentence him to be a hero. And in this world, I guess like being sentenced to be a hero is like a fate worse than like the death penalty. Because what a hero is in this is kind of like you're like an immortal um, soldier basically, and every time you die, they basically just have the ability to stick your soul into a body and you reincarnate with like
It's kind of like those it's like the dreadnoughts in Warhammer, right? Where you're like, oh,
kind
you're
of
punished,
yeah.
so it's like you get you get stuck onto those machines that have to keep fighting.
Yeah, and then the sort of trade off, I guess, outside of just being a fucking slave, like a slave on the front lines, is that every
Mhm.
time you die and you come back, you lose a bit of yourself, like a bit of your memories or your
Memories, right?
personality or whatever, until eventually you're just like this droned out husk that only knows how to like follow orders and fight.
Oh, okay.
And so the initial setup is like a revenge guy, right? Because he's like, I'm gonna get the people who framed me, right?
Mhm.
And then the start of the series, like I guess the sort of dynamic that's going on is um one of Xylo's kind of like comrades, Dota. He's like this cowardly, craven, like kleptomaniac, and he just like steals anything that's not bolted down. Um,
Same.
and he ends up stealing this coffin. Um, and in the coffin is another goddess. And Xylo
What
is
the?
like,
Okay.
I'll never work with another goddess again, right? Because of what
Hmm.
happened. Um, but like in the process of the first episode, a bunch of people start dying because there's this like royal knight captain that's too stupid to sound their retreat, and a bunch of people start dying around him. And in order to obviously he's such a good guy, and he wants to do the right thing, despite his his tough exterior and his grievances or whatever. um in order to save as the people that he can, he ends up signing another pact with this goddess, and he kills like one of the demon lords. And um this sort of dynamic that's going on afterwards is basically like um he's this grumbling hero who is doing his duty, um with like gritted teeth or whatever. But now he's got this goddess tagged along who's like, she's basically a fucking retarded child who's like constantly
Yeah, I
seeking
mean it's a very
glory.
classic
And
pairing, right?
yeah, she's constantly seeking
Yeah.
glory and wanting to use her powers and do the right thing and help people. And Xylo's like, the world, it's not that simple, kid. The world isn't built like that,
Yeah, it's like a very classic thing of like the lolly girl who's like super powerful and running around versus
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
dude. Is when you say like the goddess is a weapon and then he needs to like do the contract and everything. So what is like that action sequence of like what is that power exactly like
So
that?
yeah, so the pact that the sort of like, I guess they don't really go too deep into like the mechanics of the pact just yet.
Mhm.
But he basically it's like a blood pact thing. So he cuts his hand. Um, she kisses
Like,
the wound.
he gains powers or like what
Yeah,
happens?
so he gets powers. So Xylo's like main, I guess, for like way he fights is, so the magic in this is they call it seals, and it's basically like imbuing um I guess objects with like powers, right?
Mhm.
And so because Xylo is a hero, and I guess his body is all fucked up, he can only use like he can use a very limited amount of seals. And the seals he can use are like making things fucking explode. And so his main like power is he uses like these throwing daggers that like explode, right?
Yeah,
Um,
Mhm.
okay, Gambit.
yeah. But then the goddess he's packed with, uh what's her name? Tiorita. Um she's the goddess of swords, and so she gives him basically like unlimited blade works,
Expl-
essentially. So
Exploding swords? Yeah.
yeah, so he can throw as many as like exploding swords as he
Jesus
wants to.
Christ. Okay.
So yeah, like combat and stuff is a lot of explosions, a lot of jumping around,
Okay.
flying
Okay.
around, and exploding. Um, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty flashy. And again, the main I guess reason I check this out, because again I don't usually watch isekai. Like I usually avoid it quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
But the audio visuals for this were pretty interesting looking. They're pretty flashy. It's got a kind of um, it's kind of got like it looks like Studio Kai's kind of trying to emulate what something like Mushoku Tensei has going on with the color
Okay.
palette,
Interesting.
right?
Uh-huh.
Um, but it's not quite as uh um detailed. So it's kind of got the how what was that series called? Tower of God. You remember Tower of God? How it had like the
Oh my
kind of like
God.
the flat coloring. Um,
Uh-huh.
it's got a bit more of that going on. But unlike Tower of God, it actually has a pretty decent color palette, so I think it works pretty well here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it helps that there is actually shading in this. When a character is in like a dark area, or like a sword is like glinting in the light, there is actually shading going on. It's not just solid color throughout the entire frame. So
Mm-hmm.
it looks pretty nice. Episode 1 is like this. They do this the classic, like episode 1 is like 50 minutes long, um, and it looks really really nice. It's got some really nice cuts. But episode 1 is also like 90% like fighting. Like there's really not very much plot going on in episode 1. It's
Is
all
are
combat.
is most of the fighting like still decent though? Because there again, even
Yeah,
if
it's
there is a
quite
lot of fighting,
solid.
yeah.
And it
Okay.
looks really nice. Although uh, there is a bit of a, it's not like super bad, but it's a pretty noticeable drop off in quality from episode 1 to episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they definitely kind of front loaded a lot of the fancy cuts. Yeah,
Right. 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 Right.
audio visuals overall are quite nice. Again, I think the um the fight choreography, I think, uh, depending on how they start to break it up, I think it could get a little stale. Because again, like his main uh, form of combat is kind of just like making something explode, and it's like how many times can you really do that without it, start to get boring. But so far they've kept
Right.
it
Right. Right.
fairly interesting by having like other characters fight and stuff. He tags along with some of the Royal Knights, and he's also got his own, like there's other heroes in his squad, and they've got their own sort of gimmicks and stuff. Like one guy uses um like contraptions that he builds to shoot flames, or they're like walking robots, or stuff like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he's got the one guy in his squad that the one guy is like just one of those like droned out fucking zombies. Like the only thing he knows how to do is fight, and all he does is he like charges in with a fucking axe, and he just goes ape shit. Um,
Right.
and then Teodata's like magic herself is also quite well done. It's all at least as far as I could tell, pretty much all of it is for the magic effects. They're all hand done. All the explosions are like they're hand drawn. Um,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so
okay. That's
yeah, it's
pretty
it's
good.
quite it's quite nice looking. Um, and it remains pretty consistent too. So that's nice. There's been a handful of bits of CG where they're like large scale, like there's like a whole battalion or something fighting a bunch of demons. Then they'll use some CG here and there, and there's been a bit of CG blending, a bit of rotoscoping here and there, but it all looks pretty nice, I think. Um, and overall the visuals are definitely like the standout. I think they're pretty much like the main reason why you would watch this, I think, because at the end of the day, it's like this is a revenge isekai fucking battle slop, right? So it's got to look nice, and it does in fact look nice. Um, as for the music, I mean, it's pretty bog standard. It's about what you expect, right? It's a lot of
Wait, you say revenge isekai here. Do you mean like just like the theme is like generally kind of darker and there you have the anti-hero set up, or do you mean revenge isekai is like he's actually trying to like
Yeah,
get
so his
get back
his
to something.
motivation is like to figure out who, like essentially who gave the order to go out
Mm-hmm.
and like that eventually got his original like goddess killed.
I see. I see.
Yeah, so because
Okay.
there's
Okay.
they're hinting at some sort of like I guess corruption or conspiracy within like the Royal Knights or whatever. Um,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
they haven't touched on it too much so far, but that's
Mm-hmm.
obviously like
And
the
also when you're talking about, sorry to kind of have talk a little bit more about the plot, but I was pretty interested. So it's like obviously there's kind of like a lot of pathways that this sort of setup can go down. Um, what so I guess the first question is there a, you said back, hey, when they become a hero, part of it is the whole like the more you die and like kind of get reborn and like force fight over and over again, the more you lose yourself, your memories and your self sense of self, your personality, whatever, right? Your ego. Um, is that like a big foreshadowing, foreboding kind of part of the series? That's like obviously like it's going to lead into some sort of like main end climax plot kind of thing where it's like, I know I'm going to die, but I'm going to keep doing this anyways to save the girl or do whatever, some noble act, right? Is that like an actual thing that's hanging over the series, like a sort of down place, or
um
like what's happening?
I think so far it's mostly just been used as like uh it's kind of just like to counterbalance the whole idea that like yeah like because obviously the punishment is that you're immortal, right? Like you can't
Yes.
you're
Yes.
forced to be on the front lines and you can't like die a true death, right? And so I think
Mhm.
um to kind of like keep stakes there like and prevent like all of the characters within the squad being just like suicidal, right? Like just
Mhm.
completely reckless and running in and doing whatever the fuck they want. I think it's just like a slight amount of consequence like oh if you die you might lose yourself, right?
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
hasn't really been like a like uh much of like a blade hanging over the character's throat or anything so far. I'm
Yeah.
sure
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure it'll probably come up, but so far it's been like a like um it's more of like a the character kind of scolding the other characters, be like if don't be stupid or don't be rash. If you don't fight smart, then you'll lose yourself eventually, right? Um,
Right. 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 Right.
yeah.
Right.
So it hasn't really been used as a tool yet. I'm sure it probably will be. Um, Eventually they'll probably do something where maybe the main character dies protecting the girl and he loses some like short-term memory. It probably won't be too consequential, I think, but they'll probably use
Mhm.
it to have like an emotional moment or something. um
Okay. And,
but
and
yeah.
and also in terms of like the balance of screen time, is it like mostly kind of this them just kind of going through the town or like whatever demon or like doing that sort of like dungeon crawl quote unquote thing where they're trying to defeat the demon or going through the next like mini arc, and again it's the whole like anti-hero like oh you don't know what it's like versus like the lolly kind of running around, the goddess running around, or is it like mostly action or like how's the screen time kind of divvied out?
So like I said, episode 1 is like it's like 90% combat. Like it's very little like interaction and it's fucking just
Mm-hmm.
constant explosions. But after that, it's pretty. I think it's pretty decently balanced. There's some because Toyota is obviously like the um she's like a mix of like the comic relief and the sort of like humanizing aspect, as you would expect with this sort of like gruff hero mixed with a paired with a lolly type stuff. And so it's usually the sort of arc, because so far it's like mini arcs, right? Like
Yeah,
they'll
yeah,
go to a
yeah. Of
mining
course, of
town and
course.
they'll have to clear out like a blighted mine, or they'll go to a forest and they'll have to clear out with the demons or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like that. And then the sort of formula is like they'll get their assignment, they'll introduce whatever sub characters need to be set up, and then um the main character will be like, ugh, we're just here to do a mission. I don't even give a fuck, like whatever. and then Toyota will be like,
Okay.
well, aren't we supposed to like save people? Right? and
Yeah, yeah.
then Xylo will be like, oh, yeah, I guess we're supposed to save people. What the fuck ever.
So is that done in like a very like comical bent, or like are you
Yeah,
just like,
it's
oh
not.
my god, this is stupid? Yeah.
It's pretty self-aware. It's not like
Okay, okay.
it doesn't feel eye rolly. Like it doesn't really feel. It's not like unique or it's not really done like in a way that really makes me go like, wow, this is like novel. But it's I think it's done well enough to where it's like it's entertaining enough to stick along for the ride. Like the character interactions and the chemistry between them, it feels natural enough to it to not be like it doesn't feel forced. You know what I mean?
Right,
Um,
right.
like it's a bit of a cliche, but it's I think it's done well enough. Um,
Okay. Okay,
but
okay.
yeah. But yeah, that's mostly it in terms of plot. I mean, the character interactions are pretty good. There's a bit of comedy here and there. Again, most of it is kind of just most of the comedy is kind of like either Toyota being like painfully like naive or ignorant or innocent or whatever, um,
Hmm.
or it's like one of the other hero crew people being like a complete like lunatic. Like one of them, like one of the guys in the squad literally thinks he's like the king of the land. Like he is the king. And so all the other guys in the squad like refer to him as like Your Majesty. Um, and so he's a real like eccentric character. But yeah, they're all like fun enough. Again, it's nothing like crazy. Like it's nothing um unique or it's not really breaking any new ground. But I think in terms of like you you're going into this watching like expecting isekai battle slop shonen type shit, right? Um, there's a bit more to chew on here than just like flashing colors in front of your face, right? Um, so it's kind of nice in that regard. But yeah,
Is
it's
most of
nothing.
the interaction is are most of like the kind of sort of interactions in the story mostly internal monologues of the protagonist and kind of just like him and the goddess, or is it like does he spend a lot of time talking with like this forecaster, or like how's that kind of done?
Yeah, so majority of it is between Xylo and Teodota the goddess. They're
Okay.
kind of like the
Okay.
main duo, and then everyone else is kind of like they'll peek their head in every once in a while, but for the most part, it's just those two. I'd say it's like those two, and then um, there's there's like this royal knight like captain that gets like assigned to the hero squad to sort of like supervise them, and I think
Hmm.
she's like I guess probably like a more prominent like sub character than the other characters, but she's I guess like the more prominent like pillar I guess in terms of the sub characters, because the way she ties into it, I guess, is probably the main like connection that the main character is going to have to, gleaning info on like his true goal of figuring out who in the Royal Knights set him up, right?
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, for the most part, the others are kind of like either, um, comic relief gags, or it's like, they're just kind of roped into the current arc. Um, but
Right,
yeah,
right, 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 right.
for in terms of like
Okay.
character development, it's like the main pair. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
I see, I see, I see. Okay, okay,
yeah.
okay. Pretty good.
Um,
Okay. Anything else?
yeah. So I guess just wrapping up audio visuals. The OP is what is it? Kill the Noise by Spy Air. Um,
Spire, okay.
it's not bad. I mean, it's pretty standard J rock uh kind of track. It's catchy enough, I think. The OP looks pretty
Mhm.
nice. It's got I mean, it's about what you expect for a battle. Kind of OP. It's got a lot of characters panning and flying around and a few laser beams. Stuff like that. A couple shots of the character brooding. Um,
Mhm.
it looks nice. I mean, it's a decent OP, I guess. Um, the ED is Well, actually, I don't think they've. Yeah, they're doing like the thing where they kind of mix the. Uh, they don't have like a proper ED. They kind of just have like epilogue for the arc as credits roll kind of thing.
But do they not have music during the epilogue or what?
So sometimes they'll do a more, I guess, like just kind of orchestral swell, and then sometimes they'll just insert the OP into the ED
Okay,
because
interesting.
some of the episodes don't actually play like the OP,
Hmm.
and they'll like save the OP song for the ED. Yeah, it's an interesting, I guess, sort of
Okay.
directing thing. Maybe they're aiming for something more cinematic. I'm not too sure, but yeah,
Hmm.
it's
Okay,
an
okay,
odd
okay, okay.
choice, but I think it works fairly well, I guess. But yeah,
Okay.
um, yeah, audiovisuals are solid. Characters are pretty solid. I'd say the only other, I guess, kind of standout thing I bring mention to is um, Toyota is voiced by Mayu Izuka, and I think she's doing a pretty good job here.
Mayu Izuka. Okay.
She's not a super uh common VA. I mean, she's had like 2 or 3 main roles here and there, smattered through the last like you know decade. I don't know if she's a more maybe she's like a more video game oriented voice actor, or maybe she's like an actor. I'm not too sure, but she does a really good job here. She balances the sort of, I guess, innocence with the, um, kind of like yearning to do the good thing, and then the
Mm.
comedic elements as well. It's pretty good. She kind of has, she's kind of like a more, I guess, moe version of, kind of like Shinobu from Monogatari in that sense.
Oh, she did Narase in Under Night apparently.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
But yeah,
interesting.
she does a pretty good job
Yeah.
here. Um,
Okay, 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 okay.
but yeah, other than that, I mean, it's about what you'd expect, right? I mean, it's fucking Revenge is Kai. It's not as like
It's not as heavy on
annoyingly.
the revenge part, right? From what I'm
Yeah, it's not as
sensing.
annoyingly like gritty and edgy as a lot of these Revenge
Uh-huh.
Isekais are, which I think is nice. Because like, don't get me wrong, I like fucking edgy series every once in a while, but like a lot of these Revenge Isekai series are like, they're just annoying. You know what I mean? They're almost like they're almost trying to prove a point or something, or they're trying to one up each
It's like
other.
they have to. It's always a very kind of like extreme situation because for me, w- what those sorts of revenge series always go through a phase of is like they always it's what's on the screen is either always the worst people you know doing the worst things to like do that build up, and then the protagonist doing some sort of cathartic thing because more catharsis is always good, and slash or the third thing that always fills the screen time is just like the hero going like, no, I'm just gonna be good from now on, or something like that, right? Like kind of doing the redemption, like
Yeah,
I will be good or whatever after this, and that sort of like the juggle between the protagonist getting his or the villains getting their comeuppance, right, and the protagonist getting all the catharsis in the world, and then but and then the protagonist redemption and like all of that stuff. It's just like there's no in between. There's no like nuance to it, essentially. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure this series is probably gonna have moments of that. Especially where um, like when the main character discovers who exactly set him up, he's probably gonna have some real edgy, moments. But right now he's mostly kind of just like a brooding, stoic, like reluctant good guy, which I think works. It's not
Mhm.
like again, it's not like the deepest, most interesting thing in the world, but for a series like this, it works. And it's certainly a step up from a lot of isekai slop out there. Um,
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay.
not the not the most groundbreaking thing, but I think it's uh worth a watch for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
And
if
it
it's
is
just
very rare that you did kind of take a stab at this and you didn't come away like hating yourself. For
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. What would you rate it out of 10? Mallory, please.
Yeah. So this is sitting at an 8.2 on Mall.
8.2, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah, probably because it has shiny colors and a bit of blood. Personally, I'd probably give this like a 6.5, I think.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay. That's still higher than I expected from you. Well, for
yeah,
the series. So,
I think it's solid. It's fun enough to watch. Again, it looks really
Mhm.
nice. You know, it's got really all you could want from one of these outside of better writing. But beggars can't really be choosers with a lot of these kind of isekai type series, right? So
Yeah, yeah. Let it be known that Nier does like isekai. So,
I did I had pretty high praises for Mushoku Tensei. So
oh, right. That is true. You did review it and you said you did praise it quite a bit.
yeah,
So, but yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, Nier. I almost called you Toast here, but thank you very
that
much,
hurts, bro.
Nier.
That hurts.
uh, and that he did just cover again, Sentenced to Be a Hero, the prison records of Penal Hero Unit 9004. So, again, Yuusha-kei Shosu, also known as Yuusha-kei. If you want to kind of check out a little bit more of an economy sky flow, obviously, it is still does fit into Revenge Isekai, but it has some strengths to it that are pretty nice to check out. And if you vibe with this sort of subgenre, obviously with Isekai stuff, and you want to see some pretty nice action sequences, please do check it out.